So when Mace says these cats keeping it real, these cats is on your own, because being broken alone is something I can't condone. He's talking about current day sports conversation.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the stack on the clock. I am Ray Allen's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Mike Philman here with another episode of the Sports and the Real podcast. I appreciate you guys joining me. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, wherever, whatever. I appreciate the love as always, the comments, the feedback, everything, right? I'm going to jump right into it this week. I've been missing in action, been on vacation, and a lot has happened. A lot of conversations has taken place, and I've kind of missed out, kind of behind the eight ball. Hopefully, I'm not too late for some of my takes here, but oh well. But let's jump right into it because I do have a lot to say here. So if you guys remember my very first episode, right, a couple months back, podcast ain't that old. My very first episode, I talked about propaganda, specifically propaganda around NFL quarterbacks, in that, you know, the media would have you and fans would have you to believe that in the NFL, you know, you got to have an elite quarterback, and all you need is an elite quarterback. And these elite quarterbacks are supposedly guys, you know, no matter what's around them, they can win you a championship. And that's false. I prove to you it's false. First of all, it's not just so-called elite quarterbacks, because in the last 20 years, more so-called mid quarterbacks have won championships, have won Super Bowls. But not only that, the so-called elite quarterbacks, all of the quarterbacks we call so-called elite, have actually elite talent around them and elite coaching. So what I disproved with this propaganda that's out there is that it's not a elite quarterback you need. You just need a great team. Great teams win championships. It's not about elite quarterbacks this and elite quarterbacks that. But the propaganda has spread so far that, you know, it's in the media now. You know, all you hear is talk about the quarterback, and no other position seems to matter. And now we're talking about running backs, and the fact that essentially what people are saying, you don't really need a running back, at least a star running back. Basically what they're saying is if you pay a star running back now, you're not going to win a championship. They're essentially using, you know, the recent history to say that, well, if you pay a running back now, you know, because of the way the rules are set up, you're not going to win a championship. And to me, that is propaganda. That's ridiculous. I know the NFL is a copycat league, and everybody thinks they're going to just, you know, draft Patrick Mahomes. But if you draft Patrick Mahomes without Travis Kelce and without Andy Reid and without Ty Hill, the cheetah, what are you doing? Do you have Pat Mahomes? So, yeah, I want to draft Joe Burrow, where if Joe Burrow is not throwing to Jamar Chase and the best trio of receivers in the league, do you have Joe Burrow? And I've said this a number of times, and I'm going to keep saying it, because for whatever reason, people want to just boil down sports to essentially just one guy, as if one guy is going to be the reason you win. Nah, an elite quarterback helps, but an elite quarterback is not taking a garbage team by himself. And the same thing with running backs. You can't just say, well, if you pay a running back now, you won't have enough money to. No, man. Those are just excuses. If you're an elite quarterback, you deserve to get paid just as much as the next guy who's elite at their position. There shouldn't be no excuses, man. Stop making these guys, you know, work hard. You basically beat them to death, give them 1 million carries a season, expose them to all kinds of injuries, and then turn around and say, hey, you get hurt too much. What kind of nonsense is that? And now you have people in the media basically agreeing with it, saying, well, you know, these guys get hurt a lot, and if you pay them, you're going to regret it. And if you pay the running backs, you know, you're never going to win a Super Bowl. What? Does anyone think for themselves anymore? Does anybody have an individual thought to say, maybe I'm going to build a style that suits my team? Maybe if I have Daniel Jones at quarterback, I do need to pay Saquon Barkley his money. Maybe. Like, what kind of sense does it make to say, I got Daniel Jones, I don't need Saquon? Like Daniel Jones is actually really good. No. Like, Daniel Jones is actually really not good at all, if you ask me. He's bottom tier. And I'm a supporter. I'm a supporter of so-called mid quarterbacks, guys who people want to call average, like the Ryan Tannehills and the Derek Carrs. Like, these are guys who are actually talented, who have actually proven to be good quarterbacks. Daniel Jones sucks. I'm sorry. I know he looked better last year, but he's not good. And I'd like to see him prove me wrong. So if you're the New York Giants and you're taking the route of, well, I'm going to pay this guy elite money, as in Daniel Jones, I'm going to pay him elite quarterback money, and say, well, I'm going to nickel and dime Saquon, that is the most ridiculous thing. So the NFL has become this place where they're like the NBA was a few years ago when the Golden State Warriors was on their dynasty and everybody just wanted to basically, shoot three-pointers. So there was no use, so-called use for the big man anymore, for the center. Analytics guys essentially ran the day, right? And analytics guys just said, hey man, you just jack up a bunch of three-pointers and that's your fastest ticket to a championship. Is to jack up a bunch of three-pointers and to have Steph Curry and Clay. Well, those guys don't come around every year. You're not going to luck up on Steph and Clay and Draymond and then KD. That's not going to happen. So people just, thought it was an NBA just switched over. Well, we don't need any more centers. That was the talk a few years back. Centers are extinct. It's a guards league now. Jack up a bunch of three-pointers. Analytics says, post game is not as efficient, blah, blah, blah. So you had all of these teams pretty much looking to build the same type of roster. Instead of trying to build something to stop the Warriors, they were trying to be the same as the Warriors. And you're never going to build a team to be as good as the Warriors doing what they do, because that's what they do. You're never going to build a team to shoot threes like freaking Klay Thompson and Steph Curry with the power forward center combo like Draymond Green, who handles like a point guard. You're not going to do that. So why are you trying to be like them? Build a team with something in mind, with a game plan in mind to beat them. It's the same thing with the freaking NFL. Build a team that's going to beat Mahomes instead of trying to be like Mahomes. You ain't going to out Mahomes with Andy Reid. You ain't going to do it. So stop trying to be like this cat and actually build a counter to that. How do we stop Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, the NFL is rigging the rules for offense and this and that. That doesn't mean it's impossible. He's not God. He's not a God. So just like in the NBA, now all of a sudden centers are coming back in style. Ooh, who knew? Duh. So now the best players in the league essentially are the big guys or centers, big tall guys. First it was Giannis winning the chip. Giannis ain't shooting no threes. Now you got freaking the Joker winning a championship. Yeah, he can shoot, but his low post game is ridiculous. And the team revolves around his low post ability to score and pass. Like, this guy's essentially an old school center. So the Denver Nuggets were smart to say, hey man, we got a big man here that's uber talented. Let's build around this cat instead of trying to be like the rest of the league and just shoot a million three-pointers. Have Joker out there just shooting a bunch of threes, spotting up. So these teams, for whatever reason, everybody wants to do the same thing. Nah, man, these guys deserve, these running backs deserve to be paid just as much as anybody else when they put in the work, especially with the beating they take. Stop making excuses, man. And if I'm on the New York Giants, there's got to be some resentment. Thinking about, man, Saquon can't get paid, but Daniel Jones gets all this money? and the left tackle, Andrew Thomas, gets all this money? If I'm Saquon, hell yeah, I'm pissed. What you mean? Telling me running backs don't matter. What do you mean? That stuff is just ridiculous, man. Just like when several years back, when the rookies, would come in and they had these huge contracts, like Sam Bradford had like a huge contract. Eventually, like the vets was like, yo, these dudes getting paid way too much. They ain't proved nothing yet. There's gonna be a time that comes where people are gonna be like, hey man, look, you can say whatever you want to say, but this cat here, Saquon, is doing all this work. He's the most dynamic part of the offense. You could say, well, and that's the thing. People say, well, running backs come a dime a dozen. You can replace them. No, you can replace the production somewhat, but the dynamism, Saquon's ability out of the backfield to run, catch, like ain't that many cats doing that, and like put fear in defenses like he does. Like some cats, yeah, they can replicate the production, but some cats put fear in defense and force defenses to do things they wouldn't normally do. Just like quarterbacks. Some quarterbacks can put up a lot of yards, but some quarterbacks scare you more than others. And it's the same way with running backs. So why are we treating them so different, bro? And why are the fans so like against these dudes getting paid? And I did an episode about that. Like fans need to get out of these dudes' pockets. Like these dudes get paid. Like Saquon needs to get paid, man. Like Derrick Henry got paid. Like pay these guys. And it's okay. Like you hear these excuses. Well, there's injury risk. Well, the team should protect them. Don't give them 1 million carries a season. Duh. That will limit the injury risk. If you know there's injury risk, why run them 500 times a year? Use the backup. Build depth. Use the backups. Like running back is like the only position where it's wrong for the backup to be good. Like every other position, you want your backup to be as close to the starter as possible, but you still pay the starter a lot of money. You want your left tackle to be a stud. You pay him a lot of money, but you want the backup, the swing tackle, whatever he's going to be, you want him to be pretty good too, to not get your quarterback killed. But that's not going to stop you from paying the top left tackle a whole lot of money. So why aren't we using that same logic for running backs? Just because the backup comes in and does good doesn't mean the starter shouldn't get paid. That's flawed. We don't do that for left tackles. We don't do that for linebackers when the backup comes in and does pretty good as well and stuffs the run and does great in coverage, or safeties, because everybody gets hurt. We don't do that when the tight end comes in and does pretty good. We still pay the top tight ends. You still pay the top corners. So why is it running backs get this thing? Injury risk. Well, play the backup more. Limit the injury risk. But the fact of the matter is, when Saquon is on your team, Jonathan Taylor is on your team, Derrick Henry, these guys are on the field, their backup may be able to get yards similar, but they're not as dynamic. They don't scare the defense like these guys do, man. And there's a reason why you drafted them so high, or you even think about paying them that much, because they do something other cats don't. Well, they're easily replaceable. A lot of positions are easily replaceable, if you ask me. Again, everybody wants depth everywhere. You want your backup left tackle to be as good as the starter, really. You want them to not get your quarterback hurt, so you need them to be pretty good. You can't have them being freaking just letting everybody just hit your quarterback. Like Jimmy G proved to be easily replaceable in the 49ers offense with Brock Purdy coming in, didn't he? Did he not? Did Brock Purdy not perform just as well or better than Jimmy G? But Jimmy G goes out and gets a fat contract because he's a quarterback. Nah, man. Stop that. Like, if you're great, you're great. Regardless of position, pay these dudes. They're like, well, you can win a Super Bowl without your starting quarterback, without your starting running back, paying him a lot of money. Well, The Eagles won a Super Bowl with Nick Folk coming in for Carson Wentz, didn't they? Nick Folk won a Super Bowl while Carson Wentz was hurt. That is the excuse that they use to not pay running backs. That, well, the backup, you can win with the backup. Well, the Eagles had a great team and they won with the backup quarterback. Now what? Well, it was just a one-off. No, it will happen more if teams had good backup quarterbacks and they had great teams. Again, it's about the team. Well, teams don't win when they pay, the running back a lot of money. That's another excuse. It's all types of excuses. Teams don't win when they pay their running back a lot of money. Really? That's what we're gonna say? Well, that's such a stupid, lame excuse. Just because it hasn't happened before doesn't mean it's never gonna happen. And of course, you know what excuse what team they use as an example. Look at the Titans. The Titans paid Derrick Henry. They're not close to winning a championship. The Titans are contenders just like everybody else. They just haven't won. The Bills don't have a highly paid running back. Are they contenders? The Titans have gone just as far as the Bills in the playoffs. Just as contenders. And once you get in the playoffs, anything could happen. Cats get hurt, who knows what. The Bills have maybe the second best QB in the game. They haven't won a Super Bowl. They're not paying an elite running back. How come they haven't won a chip? Because winning a championship is hard and it takes a full team to do it. And really a little bit of luck in the NFL with injuries and all that. And the ball bouncing your way here and there. Don't use the Titans as an excuse to say, well, they paid Derrick Henry. Nah, man. It just so happens. The luck of the draw. The Bills ain't won jack. And they're contenders, but they've gotten just as far as the Titans. McCaffrey would be playing for the chip. To me, I thought last year they would have been playing for a Super Bowl if the quarterback Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt. I think they beat the Eagles. But Purdy gets hurt, and the Eagles goes on to the championship. But McCaffrey is a star running back. He does everything. He deserves the money. So he's not stopping the 49ers from doing anything. So why use that excuse across the board, man? These things are I feel like these things are analytics based, right? These are analytics guys. These aren't guys who are watching football. These are numbers guys who just come out and make blanket statements. Say, well, the numbers. So, well, at one point the numbers said, just shoot a bunch of threes and you'll be the Golden State Warriors and win chips. But really, you need more than that. And when you have the Joker, maybe you build a different team. So when you have Saquon and Derrick Henry, maybe you build a different type of system, a different team that can leverage their greatest abilities to, win a championship. There is no hard set in stone. What about other positions? Huh? How come other positions don't get that same treatment? The highest paid defensive ends aren't always winning championships. Last 5 seasons. I actually went to look this up. Top 5 highest paid defensive ends. Super Bowl? No. What about left tackle? No. Outside of Kansas City, with Orlando Brown Jr., and is it because of him or is it because of Mahomes and Reed? But top 5 paid left tackles ain't winning jack. I think Orlando Brown might be the 10th highest paid or something like that last year. Whatever it is. So that's the point I'm making. So left tackles, defensive ends, top 5 linebackers, top 5 cornerbacks. None of those have gotten a Super Bowl, except for if you look at cornerback and you look at receiver, top 5 receivers getting paid is Jalen Ramsey, right? For the Rams, and Cooper Kupp for the Rams. And coincidentally, those 2 guys won a chip with a quarterback with a losing career record. So what does that tell you about trends? Nothing. That just tells you anything can happen in the NFL. So if you're going to be fair, then don't pay left tackles top money, because the top 5 left tackles ain't winning you a Super Bowl. Clearly, according to the numbers, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, don't pay top 5 money to a defensive end. Are y'all going to stop doing that? Are y'all going to advocate for that? If you're going to win a Super Bowl, don't pay top 5 money to a linebacker. Huh? It's so ridiculous to me. Like, you just like grouping everything. Like, nah, man, it's okay to build a different type of system, different type of team based on who you have and based on your strengths. Like, no team has won a Super Bowl after giving a rookie quarterback a mega deal before they won their first Super Bowl. I think since maybe Peyton Manning. Let me say that again. No team has won a Super Bowl after giving their rookie quarterback an extension, so one of those mega extension deals for elite quarterbacks. If that rookie quarterback didn't win a Super Bowl before he won that, before he got paid like that, he ain't winning one after he gets paid. But nobody's gonna make the argument not to pay quarterbacks. No one will make that argument, y'all. Why? Because it's individualism. Build a specific team. And I know I'm spending a lot of time in this argument, but I hate it. I hate generalizations that make no sense. How come nobody said, hey, let me be like the Patriots? How come nobody said that? The Patriots refused to pay free agents, essentially. They let a whole bunch of high profile free agents walk. Lawyer Malloy, all these guys. Like all these big name guys who they had on their team from the first dynasty, they let them all walk. And they still kept winning. How come nobody else tried to copy that model? You know why? Because it was specific to them. So how come teams aren't building programs specific to them? If you got a stud like Saquon, pay that brother, man. Pay him and build a team to win with him. Stop trying to copy everybody else. You ain't going to beat the Chiefs playing like Patrick Mahomes with Daniel Jones. You ain't doing it. So pay Saquon. Pay Jonathan Taylor, Colts. Like, stop putting these, everybody in the same bucket. No, you don't have to do things like everybody else to win. And a lot of teams in the NBA did that. They was like, well, if we ain't got these guys, we might as well tank until we get them. NFL teams, we might as well tank until we get our Patrick Mahomes. Nah, man. You can get Patrick Mahomes, but if you ain't got Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, we ain't gonna hear about no Patrick Mahomes. You're gonna have a hurt quarterback. Or they're gonna be calling him a bust. Because he ain't got a team around him. It's a silly argument, man. It's dumb. So here are my recommendations. I think just like the NFL rookie scale, I think there just need to be new rules, right, for running backs. People talk about a different CBA. I think it was Dominic Foxworth who talked about, there's money set aside if you, outperform your contract or something like that in the CBA. I think there's options. So here's my recommendation. The NFL needs to create what, the NBA did with like a Derrick Rose rule, right? If you come in like gangbusters and you do X, Y, Z, bang, 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 like the Derrick Rose rules was like, you make 3 All-Star games and, you're all NBA first team, a couple of seasons, you win the MVP, like you automatically, eligible for, a certain set of dollars in your next contract. Do the same thing for running backs, man. Like, look out for these dudes. These dudes carry you. They take the pounding. Like, it's the most like backstabbing thing you can do. Like, to me, like, yeah, we're a team first organization. We look out for each other. And then when it's time to pay dudes, nothing. Anyway, man, that's my recommendation. separate cap. Like I said, money doesn't count against the cap of the rest of the team. But I think something like the Derrick Rose rule, where running backs, meet certain criteria within their first 3 years, not even 4 years, within their first 2-3 years, they meet certain criteria. Boom, they automatically get this bonus. And maybe that bonus is not a next contract. It's just a bonus so that the team is not tied to them, since there's injury risk, right? The team is not tied to them, for 3-4 more years. They just get this bonus, right? To act as if it would have been like another contract. But I think there's smart people enough at NFL that could, work something out with these guys. It's just unfair. It sucks to watch these guys just do all this and then turn around and for the team to say, "Nah, we don't want to pay you guys what you're worth." Meanwhile, Daniel Jones gets $40 million a year. What the hell, man? That junk makes me so mad. If I was in the locker room, and I know guys in the locker room are looking like, damn, what is going on? Somebody's gonna have to stick up for these brothers, because the starting running backs can't be alone. All running backs together are gonna have to be together on this, and some other positions as well, to force change to happen, because it ain't right what's happening. And felt like I had to say, like, come on, man. No other position you like, well, the backup played just as well, so we're not going to pay the starter. There is no other position where that happens. None. So why do we do it with running backs? And really all that, honestly, all that, talk about running backs and, not wanting to pay them, and, everyone thinking alike. I feel like, to me, that's just proof that NFL really sports general managers, GMs, and, owners, some of these owners who are in, making decisions, like Jim Irsay in Indianapolis, Jerry Jones, they have no clue what the hell they're talking about. NFL GMs, NBA GMs, they have no clue what they're doing. I'm sorry. And because they follow these, thoughts by the media, this propaganda, these widely held beliefs, they have no clue how to actually build a team, build a program, build a winning program. To me, it seems like these guys just follow what's popular. The media says, hey, you need an elite quarterback, and that's all you need. Well, I'm going to tank until I get an elite quarterback. Media says, hey, man, you need Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, shoot a bunch of threes. I'm going to tank until I get a bunch of guys who's going to shoot a bunch of threes. Instead of having a plan in place so that when I draft, I know, okay, I got this special talent. Now, how can I use this special talent to bring home a chip? What can I put around him to support him to win a chip? Like the 49ers have a program. They can plug and play. And when they have special talents at running back, they can use him all type of ways to get explosive plays, and Debo and like, they have a team, they have a full team, a roster. They're not dependent on just one guy. These teams have just one guy. They're hoping, they hope to luck into Andrew. And then before you know it, with nothing else around him, Andrew Luck breaks down. Colts, because he got his ass beat. So they hope to luck into a generational player, a LeBron James, and hopefully they're basically hoping that guy will carry him. They don't have a plan. They don't have a plan to build a team around a generational player. So you end up with Andrew Luck getting his ass beat, and you end up with LeBron leaving the Cavs because the Cavs couldn't develop a team around him, couldn't create a winning team around him enough to win. So yeah, the Colts, now they're going to mistreat Jonathan Taylor, even though he's a generational talent at running back. And NBA teams are going to tank until they find great players. They're going to go through the process in Philadelphia, when tanking has proven to not work. But other teams continue to tank to find a great player that's going to take them over the hump and win carry the teams to a championship. That rarely ever happens. You ain't going to find that, bro. You build a team, you build a program, you have something in mind, and you say, if I have Derrick Henry, like the Titans, I think is a smart organization. I have Derrick Henry, smart coach. I'm going to take advantage of his skill set. He ain't perfect, but I know what he does, and he scares a lot of defenses. I'm gonna build a team around that cat. I'm gonna build a team around Christian McCaffrey, around his talents, his abilities, and use Debo. And like these GMs and coaches, man, they just have no clue how to build a winner. They just want to copy and think, well, if if I can create a situation like Patrick Mahomes, if I can find Patrick Mahomes, well, what happens when you don't have Patrick Mahomes? What happens when your coach isn't Andy Reid and your tight end isn't Travis Kelce and you don't have no receivers like the Cheetah? Then what? You're stuck with a great quarterback on a bad team. So I don't know, man. I don't like to take shots at people, but it's evident to me more and more, like the more I listen to and watch the way these things play out. Like, I don't know if these GMs and these owners really know how to build. They have a plan in place to build. It's more so copying what everyone else is doing, it seems like. And as a result, you end up not winning because you're not going to beat Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes things with Andy Reid. You're just not. So you look foolish doing it. You look foolish looking for the next great quarterback and calling every quarterback coming out the next Patrick Mahomes. He might be nice, but if you ain't got that roster and coach around him, then he's just a nice quarterback and you ain't winning nothing and you're going to be disappointed. So GMs got to come correct as well. They got to do better. So that's my rant on general managers in sports. NFL, NBA, same thing. These guys just go with what's popular, right? I watched the Dolphins sit there and tank. As a Dolphins fan, I watched the Dolphins sit there and tank only to draft Tua, who kind of had an injury history coming out of school. And of course, since he's been in the league, he's been hurt. But everyone is calling Tua the savior coming out of Alabama since, redshirt freshman year. He was like a god coming out, and people were going to tank for multiple years to finally draft Tua. Maybe, just maybe, the Dolphins should have looked a longer look at Justin Herbert. Not to say Justin Herbert's a savior himself, but he sure looks pretty good, and he's not injury prone. But that's just me. But as a GM, if you just tank and, hey, I'm just going to go with the guy that everybody seems to like. He looked really good. I'm not going to scout. I don't know, man. That's just me. These sports GMs and owners, they honestly, man, I feel like being a sports GM in today's day and age is like, it's like one of the easiest gigs you can find, man. Being a sports GM nowadays is like one of the easiest gigs you can find, okay? Here's why. You convince the owner that, hey, let's tank. Owner says, fine. So you essentially get paid for losing. You get paid handsomely for losing. And then you hope to draft a guy, right? A franchise savior. And if the franchise savior doesn't work out, you can say, well, everybody else had him being a franchise savior. It's not my fault. So you get to tank again and try to go again for another franchise savior. And you just keep continuing down this franchise savior thing until at some point, the owner's going to have to wake up and say, hey, man, look, you suck. You don't know what you're doing. But all this time, you're collecting paychecks, losing. In the business world, right, companies make an initial investment, right? So when you make a business case in the business world, you say, hey, we're going to spend $30 million up front, but we're going to recoup that on the back end. So tanking to me is like a business case, right? The initial investment is, 3 years, we're going to lose a lot of games, and then eventually we're going to draft the guy. The problem is with being an NFL GM is that you don't know, it's sports. First of all, you don't know who's going to translate from college to pros. But secondly, there is so much that goes on into it that it doesn't make any sense to tank, because you can have the great quarterback, but if his coach isn't up to par, then you're going to waste his years and he ain't winning nothing. Or if the rest of the team, if you can't put a great team around him, he ain't going to win nothing. So you're just in this cycle of losing, right? Even if the coach initially does good, some coaches look good when they're motivating bad teams. But when it's time to win with good teams, they're not able to do it. Then what? So the concept of tanking sucks. But as a GM of the sports team now, that's essentially the play, right? You don't really know what you're doing. So you convince the owner somehow, let's tank. Let's wait till we get a generational player. We get LeBron and Steph. We get Patty Mahomes. Otherwise, let's go through the process when tanking has never worked. It's a good gig if you could get it, man. Must be nice. There is no other job in the world that I can think of where you can just continually suck and get away with it. Purposely suck and get away with it. Must be nice, NFL GMs. Must be nice. All right. I extended that rant. Sorry. Apologize. All right. Next topic. DeAndre Hopkins is going to Tennessee. Listen, I told you guys I'm a Dolphins fan. Matter of fact, let me back up and say this, man. I've been kind of, undercover, supporting, Ryan Tannehill. Listen, from now on, I am overtly a Ryan Tannehill stan. This podcast is a Ryan Tannehill stan podcast. I don't give a damn. All right? The Dolphins did that man dirty, and now he's winning with the Titans. So DeAndre Hopkins goes to the Titans, and I think he's going to ball out. But, of course, the casuals, fans, and media don't know what the hell they're talking about. So, well, the Titans don't have a quarterback. What? I'm going to say it right now. DeAndre Hopkins is going to get like 70, 80 catches this year. 70, 80 catches for DeAndre Hopkins, 1,000+ yards, 7, 8 touchdowns. I'm calling it right now. If everybody stays healthy, I'm calling it right now. 70+ catches, 1,000+ yards, 7, 8 touchdowns for DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee. And yes, if his quarterback's Ryan Tannehill all season, he's not hurt, that's going to be the stat line. And they're going to win like 10, 11 games, and people are going to be like, ooh, Derrick Henry's going to go off, and people are going to be like, ooh, Derrick Henry carried them. I'm telling you right now, that's how it's going to play out. But as the leader of the Ryan Tannehill stan band, I'm probably like the only person in the world who's like a Ryan Tannehill stan. You don't find many of those online or anywhere. So people are like, well, Hopkins ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't got a quarterback in Tennessee. He ain't gonna do nothing. What? They're essentially shading at Ryan Tannehill, but they don't remember that Ryan Tannehill took over a 2-4 Tennessee Titans team in 2019 that had Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. They don't remember that, right? Derrick Henry wasn't carrying them to no victories then. He wasn't balling out then. 2-4, 2019, Tannehill takes over. Boom, they make it to the AFC Championship game. They don't make the playoffs that year without Ryan Tannehill. 2-4. Derrick Henry wasn't doing much. I was following the Titans that year, and I knew they would have had a better record had Ryan Tannehill started that season entirely. I knew from the get-go, as soon as he got traded, he was better than Marcus Mariota. But politics got in the way, and Marcus had to start. It is what it is. A.J. Brown was unknown. Now A.J. Brown is a star. And people think A.J. Brown carried Ryan Tannehill. No. Ryan stepped in. A.J., nobody was talking. Show me all the articles talking about A.J. Brown before Tannehill showed up and took over the starting job. Titans fans were calling Corey Davis a bust. Ryan Tannehill takes over 2 years later. Corey Davis gets a nice contract in free agency. So Ryan Tannehill has proven he can get guys paid and he can get guys stats. Dating back to his years in Miami, people are like, well, Ryan Tannehill sucked until he got with A.J. Brown. No, he wasn't. That's because you're a casual. You just started watching football. Ryan Tannehill got Brian Hartline back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Who? Yeah, y'all don't know Brian Hartline. He is now the wide receivers coach at Ohio State. All these great wide receivers and route runners coming out of Ohio State. Yeah, that Brian Hartline. He caught back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with Ryan Tannehill. Nobody knew about Brian Hartline when he was playing, but he was a great route runner, and Ryan Tannehill could trust him. And those are the guys who Ryan Tannehill flourishes with. If you can run routes, get separation, get open, and Ryan Tannehill can trust you to catch the ball and be where you're supposed to be, you're going to get a lot of yards. You're going to get your touches. Brian Hartline wasn't fast, but he was where he was supposed to be, and he knew how to run routes. And now he's coaching receivers at Ohio State, and they're putting out the best receiver in the country is at Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. In the last couple drafts have been stacked with Ohio State receivers because Brian Hartline's teaching them. But before he was that coach, he was a receiver with Ryan Tannehill. His best 2 years of his NFL career was with Ryan Tannehill. Jarvis Landry, he wasn't a speedster, but with Ryan Tannehill, he went over 1,000 yards a couple times. Huh? Y'all don't remember? Oh, A.J. Brown. No, Ryan Tannehill had 2 4,000-yard seasons before going to Tennessee. But y'all ain't going to remember that one. Ooh, because he's not flashy. So actually, DeAndre Hopkins is exactly who Ryan Tannehill flourishes with. A guy who knows where he's supposed to be. He's smart. He knows where he's supposed to be. The quarterback can trust him. He knows how to get separation. And sometimes he has to make tough catches because Ryan Tannehill will try to fit that thing in. And DeAndre Hopkins has the best hands in the league still. So Hopkins to Tennessee, great fit. Those dudes, if they're healthy, they're going to put up numbers. See you in the playoffs. I'm calling it right now. The Tennessee Titans, I know the last couple of years, they've been like the most injured team in the league. If the Tennessee Titans stay healthy, see you in the playoffs. Derrick Henry is going to put up monster numbers. Burks is going to put up numbers. Traylon Burks. DeAndre Hopkins is going to put up numbers. Chigga Kwanko is going to put up numbers. Yeah, I know your roster, Tennessee Titans. They're going to put up some stats. Watch. Book it. Book it now. I'm telling you right now, book it. Tennessee Titans are going to put up some numbers offensively. See you in the playoffs. Now, once they get there, we'll see what happens. But Hopkins is going to ball out. No question about it. If everybody stays healthy, 70 catches, 1,000 yards, easy. Bookmark it. All right, next topic. I think sports talk is cooked, y'all. It's dead. The way sports talk, the way we knew it, is dead. Meaning, nowadays, you essentially gotta be hyperbolic, right? Exaggerate stuff. You gotta say stuff to get clicks, clickbaity. You gotta be about that drama, or just have no context stuff and just throw out a bunch of stats. That's sports talk. And you've heard the conversations, I was, like I said, I was on vacation, so I couldn't talk about this, but, you hear Stephen A. Smith, going back and forth with Dan Levitard and, these guys going back and forth talking about, blaming who's to blame for, where sports talk is. And listen, man, everybody's to blame. You know why? Because the money is not in real conversations and honest sports debates anymore. Duh. Y'all know Mace? Y'all remember Mace, the rapper? Who coincidentally, Mace now has a podcast. He does a show with Cameron. When I was putting together, like, this thing came together perfectly, right? Y'all remember Mace, the rapper? Anyway, right? Mace had a line when he was rapping. I think the song Looking at Me came back in came out in like 97 or something, like 97, 98, I think. 1997, I think it was. Mace came out with, this song, Looking at Me. The lyrics of the song, right, of Looking at Me essentially said, these cats keeping it real, these cats is on your own, because being broken alone is something I can't condone. That what he was talking about was rap back in the day, right? Rap back in the day, it was essentially, you're keeping it real, your public enemy, or you're talking about, violence, against black folks or whatever it is, right? You're trying not to always talk about money and women and drugs and capping cats, and you made money by being essentially talking about women and sex and how many women you got, how much money you got, cars you drive. So when Mace says these cats keeping it real, these cats is on your own, because being broken alone is something I can't condone. He's talking about current day sports conversations. If you're gonna make a lot of money in sports conversation, sports television, you gotta have, you gotta talk crazy sometimes. A lot of times, you gotta be extra dramatic, right? Like talk about stuff that really don't matter, that really don't apply. Have these fake debates. You gotta have some WWE in it. Like sports debate right now is essentially like Real Housewives for men. That's what sports debate has become. It's like Real Housewives for men, because most of it is made up drama sprinkled with a little bit, of real life. So they call it reality TV. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Nah, fam, ain't nothing real about it. There's a little bit of reality. The rest of it is made up drama, man. Sports talk has become the same thing. You got to be dramatic. Oh, you got to, make up fake beefs with people. Beef with players now. How sports talk has got beef with players, man? You got to, talk about stuff that maybe you don't even believe in. You got to take positions that maybe you don't even believe in. And it's not that these guys don't know sports, they do. The problem is they have to talk differently. They have to appeal to a audience that's really not a sports fan. They don't like to watch the games. They like all the stuff around the games. They like the drama and the hyperbole. And on one end, you're dealing with that, right? And on the other end, you're dealing with dudes who just want to throw stats at you, the stats nerds, analytics guys. So as a guy who wants to have a sports conversation, a sports debate, who wants to, watch the game and talk about what happened in the game, maybe pregame, talk about what's going to happen and predict stuff. As guys who essentially want to do that, right? It ain't much out there for us in that realm, okay? Because the guys that are going to get on TV and spend most of the time on TV ain't doing it like that, man. It's got to be a little bit of soap opera, a little bit of drama, a little bit of Real Housewives. You know what I'm saying? Reality TV. It got to be extra dramatic. You got to say stuff that's, out of the ordinary, just crazy out of left field to draw clicks. And you can tell by the way ESPN handled, their layoffs. These networks handle their layoffs. It's like, we see what time it is. The guys who get laid off, versus the guys who get kept are, for the most part, not always, for the most part, is the dudes, who are going to say things that draw the eyeballs. They got bills to pay. And unfortunately, what pays the bills today is not honest sports conversation. So sports talk is cooked. And it's unfortunate. And I know guys are going back and forth in the media, about, sports talk, it's journalism is gone and sports talk is not the same and this and that. Nah, it's simple, bro. The ratings now are for casual fans who don't really care about the game. It's for the distracted fan who is actually on their phone and doing all these things, social media, while the game is going on, even while they're at the game. The casual fan who doesn't know what they're watching, they don't understand the details, they can't see the details. That's who sports talk is geared towards now. And that's who these media companies have to attract. So therefore, honest sports conversation, real sports conversation, getting into the details and strategy, how did this team win? How did this team lose? No, it's just casual conversations and guys who can say the wildest of takes to draw clicks, whether it's on the networks, whether it's on social media, Twitter, whatever, right? The wildest things draw attention. You get people to argue, right? And then you sell ads off of that. You make money off of that. So, shout out to Mace. Him and Cameron again got a podcast. But Mace was right back in '97. I was thinking about that, man. I was like, man, this dude was a prophet. Mace was a prophet back in the day. Are you kidding me? How'd he know? He didn't know that he was speaking to modern sports conversation when he said that line. And listen, it still applies to rap. It applied to rap back then. It applies to rap right now. Hip hop. Dudes talking about shooting guns that they never touched. All the women they got, all the money they got, but they all broke. And now dudes can't fill up a small venue for a concert. Shit, hip hop is cooked too. I ain't want to say it. Y'all don't want to hear it. The heyday of hip hop is gone. And listen, Mace, at this point, I don't know if not keeping it real actually sells like that. That's a whole nother conversation about hip hop. But y'all get the point. Y'all get what I'm saying, right? Sports talk is the real honest conversation about sports, like the way we used to debate at the sports at the park, man, growing up in the gym. That's gone. We weren't talking about analytics now we were talking about guys, what they could do on the court, on the field, our favorite players. Those conversations are gone. They don't happen anymore. This is how that guy beat him, how this team won, why this team won. Those detailed conversations can hardly happen anymore. So yeah, morning sports talk shows for the most part, they're similar to Real Housewives of whatever for men. Real Housewives of Bristol. That's what morning sports talk has become. Real Housewives of Bristol. A little bit of reality with a whole lot of extra stuff that true sports fans can't really get behind. Anyway, that's what I wanted about that. There was a lot of bickering going on that topic, so I wanted to speak on that. All right. So I hate to say this. A couple of episodes ago, I talked about Haiti and soccer, and the fact that Haiti doesn't have a soccer team is because government and political issues there and so on and so forth. I didn't know that the Haitian women's soccer team was about to be in the World Cup. And as I'm recording this, they lost all 3 games in the group stage, and that's okay. So here, a couple of things I want to talk about, man. First of all, the Haitian government is so trash for this, man. I'm watching these girls. They're so skilled. They're capable, man. But obviously they can be better if they had better training. Some of them actually play overseas. These girls are legit ballers. The Haitian girls' defense is legit. And I'm thinking, man, the men could do the same thing. Listen, government is corrupt everywhere. Everybody's government has some corruption, okay? US, wherever. But the problem with the Haitian government is that they are willing to make their own suffer and sell their own to benefit themselves. Like totally sell their own out. Instead of building up the country, and listen, man, I don't want to spend too much time talking about these clowns, to a point where they can actually monetize the country because there's so many beautiful natural resources there, tourists, tourism, whatever, but build up capable athletic programs because we have the athletic gift, and like have us in the World Cup. Like, Nah, man, these cats just want to take the money and run. Anyway, that's a totally different conversation. I already spoke about that. There's obviously foreign powers at play as well. And it took so much, from what I was told, it took so much for the lady, for the Haitian women to actually make it to the World Cup, to get the funding to go. But they did me proud. They didn't win a game. But here's what I want to talk about, man. People have said this in the past. FIFA's corrupt. I'm sorry. There is no freaking way. There is no way FIFA could sit here and tell me that Haiti shouldn't have beat China. No way. I don't give a damn what y'all say. All right? You're not gonna have me waking up early in the morning to watch a rigged game, a rigged match. There's no way. Haiti should have had at least 3 penalty shots. I'm sorry, man. And then they gave a Fugazi one to China to win 1-0. I don't know what Haiti had to do to win that game, but they did it. There was obvious penalty shots, man, penalty fouls. The girl is essentially just the one obvious one where the girl essentially just chucked the Haitian player in the box, like bodied her, like clothesline a girl, and nothing happens. They don't review, they don't do nothing. You can't tell me, listen, people have been saying this for a while, and sometimes it sounds like sour grapes when your team loses. Nah, man. FIFA wrong for that one. They rigged that match. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a professional, I watch professional women's soccer all the time. But that one, yeah, I had an rooting interest. That's fine. But that one was obvious. And I was looking online as well. Plenty of other people thought that was obvious cheating by those referees. No way. Haiti should have had 3 PKs in that match. And they would have won that match. But unfortunately, when it's rigged, it's rigged. Sorry, FIFA. Y'all gonna have to tell me otherwise. Show me otherwise. Show me proof that Haiti should not have had at least 3 penalty kicks in that match. Show me. You can't. You can't. Unfortunately, maybe that's how it feels to teams when, Jordan used to get all the calls, or Kobe used to get all the calls with the Lakers. You feel like it's rigged, like the NBA is rigged for LeBron. You feel like the NBA is rigged for, Steph, for the great players. In that case, though, I can point to specific instances where the refs swallow their whistle for one team and not for the other team. And China ends up winning 1-0. Terrible. Wake up early just to watch that trash, man. Hey, but to the Haitian ladies, man, soccer team, you guys were awesome. You guys made me proud. I know you'll be back. That was some good stuff. All right, y'all. Really good conversations. There's plenty of other stuff I really need to talk about, but I've gone long enough. We'll save those for another episode. But appreciate y'all hanging in there. As always, let me know your thoughts. Give me your feedback on any of these topics. But I'll catch you guys next time. Appreciate y'all once again. Sports in the real shit. Mike Feldman. Peace.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the sec on the clock. I am Ray Allen's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.